got a question. If men and women are anatomically the same except for size, then shouldn't every individual have the same number of registers?
Okay. So, first of all, male and female registers are different, and we can feel that always. Like when I tried, and I'm sure you've had that before. I don't know, maybe Doug experienced it. I don't know if Doug is Doug a teacher or a singer?
He's a teacher.
A teacher. So he
Every
probably.
teacher is also a singer, but yeah, he's a
Yeah,
teacher.
yeah. I mean, yeah, but is he also a teacher? so I so every teacher has experienced that. Like when I have a male singer that comes into my studio and maybe their musicality skills are not as developed yet. And so I tell them I want you to do and I want you to do an and I try to demonstrate it on their key. Okay, what does that sound like? It sounds like I'm scratching the bottom of my floor and I'm like, that's really low for me. But for a male singer singing a C3, for most male singer, it's, it's quite fine. Not for everyone, not for like really high male voices. They would be more comfortable with a D or maybe an E to begin with. But for me, it sounds really low. And so what happens is when I demonstrate with my voice on that key for that male singer, he just sings an octave below. So instead of doing he does, because it sounds really low for me. Whereas if I do they go they try to match that and go to the octave above. Because first of all, male and female voices have differences. Male vocal folds grow and almost double themselves, sometimes 60% more, and in their length. And so there is a definite change, and the mechanical break is definitely different. So when I'm saying D to F is where science tells us that there's a change, I find that, for most male singers, it would start around C sharp D, E, they would struggle already. And female singers might feel that more F to the G, and it depends. If it's a really high female voice, they might just feel it on, G sharp or on A, where they already have that acoustical issue happening. And the thing is, about if you want a really concrete answer, so that's an area you want to look into, because mechanically that's where a lot of the action happens, and a lot of the literature tells you that that's the main passaggio for everyone. Um, and and acoustically, what's really easy to do is to get singers, especially if you're doing contemporary singing. I don't know if that's mostly the genre that you're dealing with, but I'm assuming most of our community here is mostly contemporary. I do most of my assessments on an ah. And the reason I do them on an ah is because the ah has a really high first resonance. And we need that in contemporary singing. Most of our singing as we go high and higher is asking us to open our mouth wider. If we want that, more chest like or whatever quality that's a little bit more spoken, it's a little bit more shouty. And if we are around an ah or an ah, then we would expect a change to happen somewhere between A to C, C5. We would expect something to happen there on an open vowel acoustically. And so in a concrete way, especially if you're dealing with contemporary singing, that's the area you want to look into. As an average, what is happening around E4 and what is happening around A or B4 for singers. Those are really sensitive areas from a mechanical perspective and from an acoustical perspective. And so that's a more concrete answer, and
Yeah.
female male differences.
No, I think that's great. I think that's great and important, right? So for both, and you're saying it's for both voices, right? For male and female singers, just producing sound at those frequencies causes some different reactions in the vocal folds.
Yeah, and I would be more specific, like in my kind of old school training, A would be a main passaggio for the female voice, where E would be a main passaggio for the male voice, which makes sense because some female singers would experience something on an E and an F, but it won't be as like as a struggle as it is on a G and an A or a B flat. That's where the main action is like especially in contemporary singing. And so that's the kind of difference I would look into male female.
Yeah, thank you for that. And you go through all the methodologies I know talk about the same notes pretty much. It's just everybody's observing the same things, right? And then you get into, okay, the vocabulary, that's where people are a little not really agreeing.